Namaste and welcome to this episode of the Amazing Vedas with Dr. Pariksith Singh. And we are recording on a very auspicious day, which is the Buddha Purnima. The 1st of May is also the full moon night, supposedly the night on which the great Buddha, Gautam Buddha, of this yuga was born. But I think Vamdev Shastriji or David Frawley, as Dr. Singh was mentioning, has put out a tweet linking it with the Kashyap Buddha, who goes back to the Vedic times, and who knows, to the Cassiopeia, the constellation. But the reason that I brought up the Buddha today, the awakened one, is that in a sense the Vedas are about awakening and the awakening of our own inner intelligence, the expansion of our consciousness, the experience of bliss that comes with this awakening, and the deity that is usually invoked when it comes to this higher consciousness is a deity still worshipped widely in India, Sarasvati, the goddess of knowledge. So we're going to start today with a tweet that Dr. Singh put out on Sarasvati. Please, sir, go ahead.
Yeah, Saraswati is my favorite. It's one of those riks in the third suktam. The last rik is I love the poetry. And so let's talk about her. The last three riks of Rig Veda 1.3 are about Saraswati and are part of the cycle described in the first three suktas, beginning with the sadhana of Agni, ending in the revelation of Saraswati. We often see such movements described in a sustained series or string of suktas or riks in the Veda. The word Saraswati is derived from Sanskrit dhatus Sri. Sri means to flow, and Svra, which means to go. It is beautiful to see how the same dhatu Sri gives rise to words such as Shruti, which is revelation, Shravas, which is fame, and Shravan, which is to hear. For Saraswati is divine revelation, who is Vak Devi, the mother of divine speech. She is Pavaka, the purifier. She brightens our thought and cleanses our dhi. Dhi is the mind, inner mind. David Frawley G describes her as the stream of inspiration. These three riks about inspiration are truly inspired, which is just and perfectly appropriate.
Terrific. Do you mind if you can find it easily? Can you read the actual Sanskrit? Because as we were discussing, it's actually really poetically,
Oh my God,
so mind blowing.
Yeah, the last rik, it goes like this: Om Maho Arnasya Sarasvati Prache Etayati Ketuna A. So Dhiyo Vishwa Vira Ajati. How beautiful. And if you see when the Sandhi comes, Dhiyo Vishwa. Vishwa is universal.
Universal.
Right? So Dhiyo, it has multiple meanings in one line. Dhiyo is the thoughts, the higher thoughts, the inner seeing, as Renu would call it. Dhiyo Vishwa. Vishwa is universal, right? Vi is separate. Vi is when it's expressed out. Rajati. Now Rajati means to shine. So she makes all our thoughts brilliant, full of light, right? But look at how beautifully Dhiyo Vishwa, it could mean the minds of all. Virajati, she could make everyone's thoughts glow with brilliance. Completely. Virajati. But Virajati is also a beautiful pun.
Yes.
It becomes a shlesh. The moment when you chant Virajati, means one who is seated, established. Viraj. Viraj is when you are the king, the supreme empress. She resides in these thoughts universally as the supreme empress. This is an absolutely amazing, just as poetry. I'm not even talking about.
I agree. Yeah,
What
yeah,
God?
it's mind blowing, and its resonances are so, I would say widespread throughout the Vedic corpus and actually in our lives, in the life of our civilization. I'll give you just
Yes,
one example. The word Swaraj, it is a word which suggests self-rule, but it's also a word which suggests self-shining because,
yes,
as you
that's right.
rightly said, that that Raj is to shine, and that's how we get silver, Rajat, which means silver. So Virajate. So the one who is established, Swaraj, can be Virat, the one who can
That's
actually,
right.
rule the cosmos. So it's actually Saraswati is the one who awakens the Dhi, the Medha, and gives us the power to rule ourselves, to be our own sovereigns, you see. And then that qualifies us to do things in the real world. And let's not forget that our civilization is called the Saraswati, the Indus Saraswati civilization. The entire Vedas so are replete with references to Saraswati, not just the deity, but the physical river. So once again, we see how physical, psycho-spiritual, symbolic, all of these layers, you know, in a way, accrue one on top of the other, and they all function simultaneously, which is not today possible because the rational is different from the symbolic, is different from the poetic, is different from whatever the spiritual is. But in Vedic language, language itself is fused in such a powerful way, and it creates a vibration that we have to feel either through chanting or listening to chanting, as we've done earlier. So when the words are uttered, it's like an intonation. It actually has almost a magical incantatory potency. So it's action, it's vibration, it's thought, it's something that, like Ketu, it fires the intellect, it ignites the intellect, and it's also action in the world. You know, as Dr. Singh showed us that this great deity, when she's established in her own majesty, it actually means the majesty of the self, shining in self knowledge, being awakened like the Buddha, because he became so magnificent, when he understood, the entire mystery of the universe and, in fact, how to end suffering. I would say that the Vedas also show us how to end suffering. So we celebrate this great deity Saraswati, and usually in most of our invocations of the Vedas, we have this hymn to Saraswati. Prano Devi Saraswati Vaje Bhir Vajanivati. So beautiful, Dhinama Vitravatu. So again, Dhi, Saraswati, this great chant, the invocation, and if only, and Dr. Singh may actually even think about implementing this. If only we had our corporate meetings with a minute of silence when we gather ourselves, when we gather our thoughts, maybe our discussions will become more fruitful, because you said the root word is Shri, and Shri is, of course, a word for Lakshmi, the goddess of plenty. So Saraswati is also a river, of plenitude. She's always a river which overflows. She's the overflowing one.
Yes,
And you mentioned David Frawley. There's a wonderful book on Saraswati by
yes.
by Prema Nandakumarji. That's one of the best books, where it's also important because all of these concepts travel through time. So, from the Vedic times to Sri Aurobindo, she traces the evolution of Saraswati, the river, the deity, and so I turn it back to you now, to take us back to, to that wonderful tweet. Maybe you want to read it again or to highlight certain, important portions of it for us.
So let me give you another semantic connection, which is very beautiful.
Yes.
I love these semantic connections. So Sarasavati is a pun. It's a shlesha. It has multiple meanings. Sarasa is the one who is full of rasa.
Yes.
Rasa is the joy of existence, the bliss, the ananda of existence. So, if you remember at the end of the first suktam, we had dramatically transitioned to Soma. We start with Agni, first suktam. We Agni becomes so close to us that we say, Agni, be to us like our father, right? Then the last one, you are, be to us and treat us so that goodness will spread, benevolence will spread. For our sake, be connected, intimate oneness. Then next one, next suktam, sudden transition. Suddenly you're inviting Vayu and you have Soma. Soma is all arranged. Now in that transition, something has happened. Agni has given you the Soma. You're ready. Now you already, that kind of a little gap is left. Now take the Soma to the Sarasavati, and the semantic connection is beautiful because rasa is the joy in manifest existence. All the joy that we feel, taste, eating, hearing music, the joy of creativity, the joy of talking to you, that is all rasa. Rasa is all, rasa comes from the divine. So she is the flow of joy and bliss. And so we come to another cycle, semantic cycle, where the soma, which is arranged, creates, brings to us the final revelation, the overflow of Sarasvati, which is not just the knowledge coming, but joy coming in its plenary form. And that is the beautiful, another semantic little game that, our great rishis created for us so we could see the inner connections. And, all life is interconnected. And the second very beautiful thing is Saraswati today in India or the Indic tradition is the goddess of knowledge. Even
Yes.
now, and artisans and craftsmen, writers. When I was a student in my school days, my father used to make me honor Saraswati, and we would take a pen and we would honor that pen. And we would,
Yes.
because that pen was my instrument, so that I could become an instrument, I would focus on the smallest little, the ink pot. Remember those days, ink pot in a little pen, you had to fill it with the dropper, you had to fill it, and so I had to honor it, and so I could, so a
It's still
deep,
there. It's still there on Vasant Panchami, which is
yes,
Saraswati Puja. It still happens. And
yes,
children are taught the first letters of the alphabet on that day.
yeah.
It's still
So
going on.
yeah, so there is something sacred that has we have been able to, that connects us to those 4,000 to 12,000 years. It's a continuity, and how Saraswati has influenced the goddesses in Chinese, in Tantra,
Yes.
in
In
Japan.
Japan, yeah.
Yes, Saraswati, Manjushri becomes
Manjushri,
the great Manjushri in the Tantric tradition, and Maitreyi. I mean, powerful. The first appearance of the female power in its resplendence. And I when I get again, I become epileptic with joy when I talk about the one of the most powerful poems, lyrics in the 10th mandala 125, which is Vag Devi, and someday we should talk about it.
oh,
That is
beautiful.
Saraswati. So it is so much, but she is just amazing, and the rics about her are amazing. And this is a cycle. So this is called Anuvaka. The first three suktas are a cycle.
Anuvaka.
It ends with Saraswati. It begins with Agni. You invoke with your sound. You invoke Agni, and it ends with the goddess of sound, with her tremendous, explosive revelation. And it is, it goes. Maho Arna is the ocean, the grand ocean of light that is above us. What a beautiful image, that she awakens the grand ocean of light above us with a sharp perception.
Bolt, as it were. Yeah.
Yes, a bolt. Yeah.
No,
So
that's
it's,
that's really
yes,
fantastic, very profound. And these goddesses actually traveled east through Kashmir. And the
yes,
great goddesses of Kashmir, Sharika, they still worship Sharika. who's nothing but a form of Saraswati, and Paravak. In fact, my name, Paranspe, Paranchape, we are the ones who are supposed to be devoted to the Paravak. That is, and that is Paradevi is nothing but Saraswati. She
Yes.
is that Vagdevi. She in her womb are all the phonemes and all the morphemes and
Yes.
all the you know all
Yes.
the constituents of language,
Yes.
the atoms of language from which the word explodes into the world. As the Bible also said, the word was with God, and
Yes.
then the word was made flesh, etc. Then God said, let there be light. So you can see the parallels. And the reason I bring these parallels is because Sri Aurobindo tells us there was a universal Gnostic, I would say, the Veda is a universal Gnostic system, and each culture and each tradition, uh, you know, as it were, interpreted it and preserved it in their own holy books. But there is a commonality if you know how to open the key. And Sri Aurobindo himself came to the Vedas through Greek and Latin, uh, old epic poems and poetry, and that's how he was able to capture some of the nuances which, the so-called philologists were not able to, and the historians were not able to, and the ritualists we were just talking about them, who had ossified language, who had ossified ritual and made it, so rigid, they were not able to grasp it. So I think we are at a wonderful cusp in the destiny of humanity, where so many things are opening up to us. Artificial intelligence itself is helping biological intelligence, I think. And maybe this was what was predicted, when we thought that humanity was ready to move to the next stage. We have so much help, and we can once again unlock these powers, as you said, the Saraswati, the rasa of life, to make it flow again. And the Buddha taught us how to end suffering, and certainly through purification, all the senses become sources of delight and not sources of entrapment. In
Yes.
fact, all this tremendous warning against senses, all of that comes later. The Vedas are so celebratory. They are not coy about all that we experience, because they tell us a profound truth that at the heart of all pleasure, including sensual pleasure, is nothing but the pleasure of the divine. It
Yes.
is that cosmic Ananda. It is the Brahmananda. So before it gets distorted and contaminated, take it to its source. And
Yes.
taken to its source, it only points to that divinity. So, with these words, we conclude this episode. Thank you, Dr. Singh, and let us continue to invoke Saraswati in our lives, and in our thoughts and in our deeds. And until our next episode, stay on course. Join us in this exploration of the Vedas. Like and subscribe and share our channel or Veda. And please check us out on Amazing Vedas on X, where you will see every day 3 or 4 fresh and inspiring tweets from the Dhimanta, who is also our Srimanta, Dr. Pariksith Singh. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Namaste.